Pregame.com.
Welcome back to our Big 12 preview. I'm Marco D'Angelo with our Big 12 expert, Tony George. Tony, we've been pretty much in agreement so far, the first three teams. 4 and 5, we kind of disagree because I'm the host. We're putting my 4 first, so
that's okay. That's okay. We're putting a steak and a beer on this too after the show, so
no problem. We flip-flop Texas and Missouri
Yep.
and where we have them at. I've got Texas here. Again, here's a team that's not bringing back the whole team. Obviously, there's 6 on offense, 6 on defense, coming off an absolutely nightmare season for Texas last year, 5 and 7. But you're the Big 12 guy, so I'm going to ask you. Was there a team in all of football that was more Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde than Texas last year? Here's a team that lost to Iowa State as a 20-point favorite, but then beat Nebraska.
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing that up. I was at that game, and I thought that was just for facetious sake, I thought that was a lock of the century. That they were going to come into Lincoln. I was up there for that one and posted some pictures of that in the pregame forum, by the way. But nonetheless, they were a Jekyll and Hyde team, and it's interesting with the talent level they have. When you look at recruiting, go to Rivals.com or some of these other websites and see that they're in the top 3 every year. My philosophy has always been, I'm not a huge Mac Brown fan. First of all, I'm not a big Texas fan because I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Absolutely.
Secondly, Mac Brown has always been good, going all the way back when he coached Stray Bly and those boys at North Carolina. That's how old we are. He's good for one colossal blunder every year when it comes to coaching. They're going to win a game they're not supposed to win, and they're going to lose a game that they should win hands
with their
down.
eyes closed.
I contend to this day that Mac Brown would have never won a national title if it wasn't for Vince Young and that last drive they had against USC. I mean, he's a magical college football player, got over on him. I think the problem is with Texas this year, they have a ton of talent in the house. There's no doubt about it. The problem is experience. They don't have a big-name running back coming back. They have a big-name running back last year. How do you not have a big-name running back? You're Texas, for Christ's sakes. That's like, that'd be like Penn State not having a middle linebacker.
Right.
I mean, it's just, a Nebraska not having a dual-threat quarterback. I mean, it's just, it's amazing to me they did. And I'm not sold on their quarterback yet either. Obviously, he didn't have a lot of weapons last year. What's he got coming back this year? I mean, there's a lot of intangibles there for Texas. And here's the big thing about Texas, Marco. Not only did Mac Brown fire his offensive coordinator, he fired he didn't fire his defensive coordinator. His defensive coordinator, Will Muschamp, went to Florida. You've got an entire new offensive scheme coming in here. And by the way, the new offensive coordinator was the offensive coordinator for Boise State. Now, that's a little different style of offense, and his ideals coming in there and implementing that with a team that had a standard spread attack, sometimes more when they had a good running back, more of a pro-style, play action type passing team with a lot of slot receivers or dual slots. Now they got a whole new program going in there with what I think is good, young, experienced talent. And I think that that's going to be a big problem for them early on the season. They got to go out to play UCLA. UCLA went in there, like you said, Jekyll and Hyde went in there and just beat them like a redheaded stepchild last year. And then they turn around and go beat Nebraska, like you said. But inconsistency comes with inexperience. I still think inexperience is there. This is not Colt McCoy at quarterback. They don't have a really strong defense. Their pass defense is terrible last year. They're right up there with, giving up a lot of plays like with Oklahoma State. And I have them ranked below Missouri. But a lot of that is I live in Kansas City. So unless I want to go out and have somebody start my car for me in the morning, make sure it's not loaded with C4, I got to put Missouri on top of them anyway.
Well, I don't have to worry about that. The difference for me between the two teams, and when we talk about Missouri in the next segment, you touched on it. Yeah, there is no Colt McCoy, but you do have Gilbert for the second year. And the experience that he has, I think he's going to make some progressions. Now, I agree with you in the points about the coordinators. That's definitely a problem when you're trying to implement a different style and if your players aren't totally adaptable to that. We saw what happened. You know, it was the demise of Rodriguez at Michigan. You know,
Yep.
He tried to bring a system in there that he didn't have the personnel to run.
Like Bill Callahan at Nebraska,
Yeah,
same
exactly.
thing.
Yeah, you can't change. You can't put what's a round hole, square peg in a round hole. You got to have the right pieces of the puzzle. I just think Texas will bounce back from last year, but there's too much talent in here for them to be any better than fourth. It's going to be close. Probably the decider and what may be to your advantage where Missouri ends up finishing in front of them is Texas has to go to Missouri. In a coin flip game, Missouri at home, that could be the difference for it.
Well, here's the other thing. I think with the entire new offensive scheme, you're going to see a lot of 3 and outs with six returning starters back on defense that aren't really household names like they have been in the past for Texas, that are on a learning curve. If you got a lot of 3 and outs and you have that defensive scenario against the talent level that is so high in the Big 12 this year, we're not even going to bring up Baylor till the next segment just for one reason, name's Robert Griffin. There's going to be a lot of teams that can score. Baylor averaged 31 points a game last year.
Yeah.
Baylor, for crying out loud. So there's a lot of high-octane offenses here. Texas is still going to give up points, and the more that inexperienced defense with an all-new scheme is on the field, I think they're going to lose some tight games this year. I don't think this is going to be we're going to get pounded by UCLA, and then we're going to go beat Nebraska by 20. Then we're going to go play Tallahassee JUCO and struggle. Then we're going to go beat A&M on the road. I don't think you're going to see. I think you're going to see more consistent good play this year out of them, Marco, but I still think those teams with high-octane offenses are going to give them a lot of problems because those teams with high-octane offenses, like Missouri, like Texas A&M, like Oklahoma, they have great defenses that are going to be able to shut this scheme down.
One thing when we talk about, handicapping, we're always looking to find value. One thing, we say there's certain teams that always are going to get, favoritism from the public, and Vegas knows that, so they slight the line that way. Texas is a household name. It's always been in college football. So, and people don't like to believe that they're down. So there's going to be value going against Texas in different spots this year because they're probably going to be laying more points than they should be or not getting as many as they should be.
18-point favorite here. I know we're taping this right before the season starts. 18-point favorite against Rice already. I'll tell you the one thing about Texas, and anybody listening to this podcast, you'd be real smart not to lay over 3 points with them on the road against a team above 500 ball until, past that fall number until you see something from them.
Right. Well, I agree with you. We just slightly differ, 4th or 5th in the conference, but
Steak and a beer.
Well, maybe we'll up it. We'll see.
Okay.
We can bet Kansas City and the Steelers, too.
Oh, there.
He's Tony George. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We'll be back. We got one more video in the Big 12. We're going to take a look at Missouri. We'll be right back.